Hey everyone, Slambo here, hopping on another contest. This is the last one that I'm going to do this weekend, but there's still a bunch more to do for October, so there's more contest entries coming in the next few weeks, but this is the last one that I got to get in this week. This is for the NC Vinyl Picker. This is for Art. He asked us a few questions, and I finally managed to pull together what I need for answering the questions. First question was, show an album that kind of bridges the gap between psychedelic and progressive rock. And I had to look through my Discogs list for this one because both of them, I like prog and I like psych, but it's not really a core collecting interest for me. There are a few that I really do like, and I did find one that is I think a really good example of the crossover between psychedelic and progressive. And that is Pink Floyd, The Wall. Looking on Discogs, it lists both psychedelic rock and progressive rock for this one. And it also lists symphonic rock, which is probably why I like it. The whole thing is just a whole symphony all the way through from beginning to end. There are tracks on here that I would definitely think of as progressive. It's kind of hard to read the track listing there. So I won't even try. Rather than staring at the disc for a few minutes, I won't even try. But I'm sure the majority of people watching this know Pink Floyd and they know The Wall. We don't need no education. Of course, it gets a lot of radio airtime, but there's a ton of other songs on here that are really, really good and really tell the whole story all the way through from beginning to end. So Pink Floyd, The Wall is my pick for an album that bridges between progressive and psychedelic. So the second question he asked was, show an album that has a really beat up cover, but the vinyl is all right. And anyone who saw my introductory video from way back in February this year, I showed a stack of records that my cat had scratched on the spines. So that's what I picked for the really beat up record. I picked what I think is the worst example of that. This is Lily Tomlin, Modern Scream. So we got a ton of scratches down there. And also on the inside, we've even got a little bit of a hole there. You can see right through there. And this is coming off here. The glue is just wearing out on that. But yeah, the cat scratch damage on the back is really what stood out to me immediately. But if we look at, the cat scratch even got to the inner sleeve on there. But the record is still pretty decent. It's still nice and flat. There aren't a whole lot of scratches on here. There's a couple of scuffs here and there, but there's nothing that would prevent me from putting this on the turntable and playing it. So the record itself is in good shape. And when I really got back into buying for my collection, I started upgrading those that the cat had scratched up, and I found an upgrade copy of Modern Scream. This one is totally nice on the spine. No scratches at all on there. So I've already got and the insert is nicely glued down. There's a little bit of wear right there, but that's really the worst of it. So I've got a good upgrade copy already of that one, so I don't have to keep looking for that one. All right, and the third question he asked was, show your oldest album. Well, I tend to collect some 78s also because, I like old jazz and I like comedy recordings, and comedy has been recorded since 78s and since the beginning of recorded music. So my first thought was, okay, let's look at the 78s. But if I pull out an individual 78, that's not a whole album. That's just one disc out of an album. For example, there's this big album here, but these are totally different records on each side. So here we've got Duke Ellington, then we've got Earl Hines and his orchestra, then we've got, Bob Archer with string band accompaniment, Bob Archer and Bonnie Blue Eyes. Then we've got, looks like Ray Milton. And we've got Henry Red Allen and orchestra. So this one is kind of you can think of it as a compilation album, but it's not really an album. These records were not meant to be together into one album. So I looked a little bit further, and I found a cover of Glenn Miller album. This is supposed to be several discs of Glenn Miller recordings, an album of outstanding arrangements on Victor Records, Victor Musical Smart Set, it says up here at the top. So this is supposed to be Glenn Miller 78s, but I'm missing a couple of them. So there's a Glenn Miller Bluebird, there's a Glenn Miller RCA Victor, and there's another empty page. So some, but not a complete album. I looked a little bit further, and I found a complete album. Sparky and the Talking Train from 1947. This one, released on Capitol Records. There's side 1, and there it is. Side 6, side 2, and side 5. And this one is side 4 and 3. And they were done in that way so that you could stack up sides 1, 2, and 3 on your record, your changing turntable. You could stack them up, and then when it's done playing through all of those sides, you just pick up the whole stack, flip it over, and play those. So you got 1, 2, 3, flip it over, you got 4, 5, and 6. So there we go. That's my oldest actual complete album, an album of 78's, Sparky and the Talking Train from 1947. So there we have it. We have a contest entry for NC Vinyl Picker. We have something that bridges a gap between psych and prog. We have what I think is currently my most beat up record cover, although the record itself is okay, and my oldest complete album of 78's from 1947. So there we go. That's what I've got today. See you next time.